So this is session 2 of I'm a Citizen of. As Christians, we'd say that Jesus is our King and we live in obedience to him. But we do live in a world where people put self on the throne. Life's about achieving the greatest happiness and satisfaction that we can, sticking up for my rights, ensuring I have the chance to be what I want to be. Now, all these can be good things, but when they become the things that rule our life, then they are opposed to the kingship of Jesus. So the question for us is, how do we live in this world while remaining loyal to Jesus the King? This is the very issue that Paul faced when he was spreading the good news of Jesus throughout the world, which had a very different outlook. So today we're going back to Philippi. We mentioned before it was a Roman colony, so its habits and its culture were very Roman, but there was also a very strong Greek influence. After all, the city had been named after Philip II, the father of Alexander the Great. I remember in year 7 I had a book called Tales of Greek Heroes, and it was the stories of Jason and Hector and Odysseus, all people who are seen to have done amazing things, even superhuman things. We use the term hero today to someone who's been perhaps very brave, or somebody who's been very self-sacrificing for the sake of another person. We also talk about hero worship, and this tends to be, well, maybe it's a singer or a footballer or someone that we really admire and we want to know all about them, and maybe we want to emulate them in some way. In the world of Philippi, in Paul's time, there was a custom known as hero worship. This was when a person was seen to have done something perhaps superhuman, and after their death, people would attribute divine attributes to them. And there they became an official hero, and they would have a shrine built to them, and people would offer worship. I guess that's the beginning of our term, hero worship. Many people in their lifetime would strive to reach this status, with very little concern about who they trampled on the way up. It was quite an acceptable thing to do, and Philip II was actually a good example of this. He was really striving to be someone great, even extending his empire in a very ruthless manner. And he wanted to be seen as having these divine attributes. It's said that at his daughter's wedding, he had a statue of the 12 Greek gods, so 12 statues, brought into the wedding, but a 13th statue, which was a statue of himself, and he wanted it alongside the gods. Unfortunately for him, he met a rather sticky end there because a couple of his bodyguards killed him. Great celebration for his daughter's wedding. But he still got a temple built to him, his statue inside, and people would offer him worship. Paul came into this culture of self-aggrandizement, a culture of striving to present a different picture of the one who was really worthy of worship. And this is where the chapter in Philippians 2 stands out. Because against this background of humans wanting to be seen as a god, he tells the people, you should have the mind of Jesus, which is, who, being the very nature of God, did not consider equality with God something to be used to his own advantage. Rather, he made himself nothing by taking the very nature of a servant, and so on. Paul wanted to turn people's thinking upside down. In a self-centered culture, how do we live in obedience to Jesus?
Not to be silent.